do that. But it doesn't matter what niche you're in, there is a niche for everybody. And you being here today proves that you can change that culture.
Okay, my biggest worry actually is our youth. I mean, I've seen back in my country in Canada, I mean, the numbers are like 70% up from like 10 years ago, and we're losing our junior programs. And this is my big worry. How do we get the kids back into the game? Well, we need you guys. We need certified coaches. Most of our junior programs back home are just babysitting services. And today, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You have to have a program, just like Dell and all the universities do. We have to have a program for our juniors. We got to get them interested into the game, and we got to keep them. So I think, like Fred said, if every bowling center has 2 or 3 certified coaches, and they're working with the kids, that center should be full of kids every Saturday morning, Sunday morning. No reason why not. And I think the proprietors, are not looking at this in the right way also. I think they have to work with us and make sure that because this is our future. If we lose our kids, then there is no future. And I know myself back home and my son Mark, I mean, we work very hard to bring the kids in. And Mark is a good example for the kids, he's a model, and I think we need that. We need many more people like this into our sport to make sure that the kids come back and play this beautiful sport that everybody can play. So to me, that's my biggest worry.
Kevin? It's getting pretty late in the day for some of us older people. Luckily, it's quite late. It's getting pretty late in the day for some of us older people, you know? It's me, and Dell, but I'm older, so do this. It wasn't quite my nap time yet. Luckily, I perked up when you had talked about bowling balls, because that's a popular opinion that I've heard many times. And we actually did something about it in the last year or so. WTBA commissioned a database study on bowling balls. Have we gone too far? What happens if we roll them way back? Rather than me trying to explain it, I've got the scientists who unfortunately stepped out of the room temporarily when that happened. But if you would just maybe paraphrase your comments again, and then Neil can tell us all what they found when they studied this stuff.
Yeah, what I meant was that when I grew up in bowling, indeed, middle ladies, urethane ball was used. Us kids actually learned the trick how to get more strikes, because we were using lighter balls and stuff like that. We figured out that we need to get the ball to hoop. At the same time, we saw older guys playing straighter and leaving 5 pins and 8 pins and stuff like that. All of a sudden, okay, what we learned is we learned how to get reps to the ball, how to be versatile. All of a sudden, 1992 came the reactive balls. All of a sudden, what happened? Everybody was able to get a strike. And my balls were going left gutter if I tried to use the same balls. I quit bowling in 1995 because I still had to use urethane balls, and everyone else were able to use reactives. I thought that's not fair. I quit bowling. After that, the things have got much crazier. The volume we used oil back those days, I don't know, 8-10 milliliters. Yeah. Compared to today, we have to use so much higher volume that alone is causing problems also. The lanes are changed so much faster because the balls are sucking the oil off the lane. So from that, Neil probably can continue.
Well, we were commissioned by Kevin and WTBA to spend some time looking at bowling balls, and it wasn't just bowling balls. We looked at lane conditioner, pins, and patterns. So we made some selections. We did some testing, and Nikki, who you all just met, led the team here at USBC, and then we also had a select group at Hong Kong Sports Institute, HKSI, who spent some time doing the same test in Hong Kong as we did here to be able to get us the additional data to, you know, some separate verification. And, you know, since I wasn't that good, you know, way back when, I don't have the, what's the word I want? Fire, for lack of a better term, you know, about, you know, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. So we just went through and we selected, and Nikki's team spent a lot of time, you know, going through the bowling balls that are out there, the bowling balls that have been approved over the last 10 years, and cutting into the diff, cutting into the RG. The diff actually was a 033 was the maximum diff we used. And intermediate diff, which we don't have a specification on, set a specification on that. And then surface roughness was the other area. So in the bowling ball section of the study, we cut way back on the bowling balls, almost to the point where they were very difficult to find out in the real world. And based on those tests, we did a bunch of tests on a couple different patterns, London and Atlanta, if I remember correctly. You can use any ball you want. And then we did the same test using just much tighter tolerance, you know, pretty simple test. And scoring comparison, spent a lot of time analyzing the data to get it just right. And truly the biggest difference we could pull out of that was 7.18 pins, if I remember correctly. And I see Nikki continuing to nod, so my memory is getting a little better. This isn't as long ago, actually. And so the discussion we had with WTBA was, you know, this would be a pretty drastic change, pretty hard to implement. We're going to have much smaller lists, and we're only going to get, you know, 7 pins a game. And that was stretching it a bit, because over time, that probably was going to go back the other direction. You're still going to have very high scores. People are going to wonder what you really did when the guy who wins or girl who wins is still going to have a pretty high average. And that's always going to be hard to sit there and argue. So unless we were going to be able to, you know, make special balls, have deals with ball manufacturers to create balls in a new category, things like that, we didn't really feel like we were going to move forward. Nikki also went back, her team went back and looked at the World Series of Bowling and the ratios that were used, and it was all done in the same house, and they were all on PBA patterns, which are 3-to-1, which is the same ratio that the WTBA patterns are, and then did a comparison to the US Open, which was 1-to-1, and much bigger difference than 7 pins. Similarly with the Queens and the US Open, that was either 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1. The last one they did, someone in the room remembers exactly what it was, but again, similar kind of comparison, you know, much different ratio, much larger percentage of scoring difference. So from that standpoint, it made a lot more sense for us to spend more time with different ratio. We're going to put out a few tighter, flatter ratio patterns for next year and try to do some testing on a world level from that standpoint versus everything I just talked about as far as bowling ball cutbacks, et cetera, go. Does that make sense the way I flew through that? You know, it was a presentation I gave. It was probably 2 hours, and I just summarized that in about 4 minutes. Kevin always likes that. So it doesn't totally answer what UHOT has to say, but it just goes to show, you know, obviously urethane or plastic, the highest PBA tournament, scoring tournament ever was the plastic tournament. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting lots of thumbs up.
Yep.
So it just goes to show that the pattern has a very high influence on scoring. Some of the bowling ball stuff obviously has an impact on oil absorption, change on the lane, ability to affect the ratio, things like that. But when you're looking at the blocks that we're talking about, you know, 5-6 game blocks, things like that, that was the results, the obvious conclusions that we came to. Make sense? Comments? Questions?
minute. Just on one, overall the question, though, I want to pipe in here. We need to still just embrace technology. Technology is just not the bowling ball. We're talking about losing members, we're losing juniors, we're losing everything. When's the last time you wrote a letter on a typewriter? Anyone in this room? Yeah, exactly. It's just, we need to, that's just the way of the world. We're gonna die if we don't embrace technology. Now, maybe some of these will be regulated. Just technology, not the bowling ball. Technology is in everything that we do. Our marketing material, our coach material, our cell phones, our video equipment. Your cell phone has more capability than 10 years ago, having a big computer, a big video camera, a VCR. I mean, we need to embrace technology. Sometimes it's just technology is killing the game. No, it's not killing the game. You know, overall, technology, we need to embrace it. So I had, Brett, I think we had you up.
Yes, I think so. You know, Frank, I think you touched on it a little bit, and I think a lot of us love the technology. That's not the disconnect that I see. I see the disconnect of people. And I'm a proprietor, and I go to some meetings once in a while, and I talk to proprietors, and I ask them, well, who are the gold? They don't have a clue. They don't know one gold coach from another. We got 2 Hall of Fame coaches at our bowling center, and 5 certified coaches. But yet we're not allowed to have our kids bowl on Saturday to bowl on high school bowling because the Ohio High School Athletic Association doesn't allow that. So I lost several bowls to all the high schools all over town. I had 700 kids to bowl on Saturday. We have a big disconnect between us, the coaches, and our value in the proprietor, and I'm one of them. And I'd like to see if we can't fix that and do something about it. What's the plan here to start having these proprietors invest some of their time, money, and effort in with us as coaches to help bring youth into our sport and have all types of coaching going on? We own the playing fields. There's 5,000 of us or thereabouts. I don't know how many worldwide, Kevin, you probably know that number. 13,000 bowling centers or something of that nature. Yeah, I got $3.5 million invested, and those numbers were 30-some years old. So I have some skin in the game, and a lot of them out there do, but they don't know any of us. They don't even, it seems like they don't even care about us. So, you know, I know these people, and I know some of them, and I ask them questions. How many clinics you do at your center? Oh, I'm too busy working with the insurance guy. I'm too busy doing this. And I want to ask this question. I guess I look at it as our fault, the proprietor's fault, that maybe we need to reach out, maybe we need to come up with a plan, present to the proprietor. It's a coaching/proprietor interaction workshops, and start somewhere and do a pilot program. I don't think we wire up the world. I think it starts one step at a time, the old Pac-Man approach. Can we do something in Chicago? Few people get together, get 40, 50 proprietors there and say, hey, what can we do? What is the plan? And let's walk out with a plan. Any plan is better than no plan at all. And right now, I see no plan at all to bring coaching and the proprietors closer together. You know, you own the lanes and I'm the coach, well, we better make a marriage here somewhere. And if I don't like you and you don't like me, that coach is always causing me a problem. I hear this, I hear that. Well, you know why? Because we don't even talk to each other. We don't even have an association. We don't even have any interaction. And as long as we don't have interaction, nothing's going to happen. We can have all these programs we want. Without interaction with the people that own the playing fields, nothing's going to happen. Until we all buy in. And we get the PBA and the DPAA and the USB and all of us to buy into some plan that is organized, and it may start right here with this group of people and with what some of the work Kevin's doing. And maybe that plan needs to be put in black and white, and we need to share it with the world and get rid of this disconnect. So I was saying that, and I don't do as much coaching in my own bowling center as I like to do. I'm buying a new iPad when I get home because I ruined mine, and I'm going to go down all the lanes and say, hey, let me film you up here. And if you come on Wednesday night, you come in and get lessons in, and Coach Gordon will be here, Coach Edwards will be here, George Burgert will be here, and we all have iPads. We're going to be down, and we're going to film, we're going to do this, cost you $20. You come down here and bowl for 2.5 hours, and hopefully spread the word, and at least start more coaching at the local level in bowling centers and not so much about, and I love this stuff. You know, the ball and the cores and the pins and the CGs and the RGs and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun, but it's not driving our sport. That's not driving, but let's look at it as two things. We have this side of the ledger is the industry, and this side of the ledger is the sports side. Well, I can tell you, it cost me $110,000 a month to pay the bills at my bowling center. I have a 48-lane center with 2 bars and 3 game rooms and a miniature golf course and a banquet operation. And I can't drive with bowlers. I get 2 leagues, a 12-teamer and a 14-teamer. I got 26 teams of good bowlers. Okay, 5 on a team. That's not enough players to pay my bills. That's when we patented lunar bowling. And we need other ways. Now we have to know how to take those lunar people and turn them into bowlers. And what are we going to do to embrace the proprietor, and how's the proprietor going to embrace us? What's the plan? Where's the plan? Where's the disconnect? And who's got the plan? Who's going to bridge this thing?
Okay, we're down to probably just about 5 more minutes before the break. So any other topics we want to cover is going to be Ron?
Well, Fred, you're a proprietor, and everybody here knows you. What would it take from this coaches group or the USBC to get you to listen to us as a group? I know you will, but I've tried, probably everybody in this room that's a coach has worked with proprietors and walked out rather discouraged at times. What do you think you would listen to from us?
So there's a thing in marketing called guerrilla marketing. You can call it whatever you want. I did it when I came out with Don Johnson Easy Code. And Sam Weinstein in Chicago said, "Oh, Fred, that won't work. It looks like too much like a lady's purse." You know, it was when you carried the double ball bag on your shoulder. So I went out to all the pro shops around the area, and I give them one of each color, and I says, "Take these for 30 days. If you sell them, pay me. If you don't, send them back, and I'll pay the fee. If you need more and you sell out, call Sam Weinstein." You know, but he wasn't putting it in his distributorship. So what I did is I circled around him. So I think we as coaches, what we could do is we could go out to the schools, and we could put some fundraising, put a real program together, go out to schools with a red, white, and blue, and show them a DVD of people getting gold medals, and this is what bowling is, and talk to them about getting a college education through bowling, and educate the school system, and get to the kids, and give them take-home pieces to take home to their family with some free bowling passes come over our bowling center. Now all of a sudden the proprietor wouldn't have any choice but to say yes, because we circle the wagons around him. He's a busy man or a busy woman, okay, and I appreciate all that. You know, we get so busy that we don't take care of the problems, and that's where we've gotten as proprietors. We keep cutting the staff back, getting busy, so now I don't watch it, that's in a lot of centers, I see it. If the salesman is mowing the yard, you get a problem.
Okay, we're down to our last. Any additional questions for our panel up here?
I want to put a few words for Mr. Borden, because he's absolutely 100% right. Okay? I'm glad and sad at the same time to hear that the problems are universal, not only in Finland. Okay? In Finland we have bowling coaches association, and we've been thinking hard on what we can do as coaches, because the absolute truth is that bowling coaches are the unused asset of getting more bowlers into the sport of bowling. So what we decided to do, we will start in September. We will start a pilot program in 10 different bowling centers, because we know the fact. We calculated that an open bowler brings the proprietor on average 40 euros a year. That's like $50 a year. But then again, a registered bowler who comes on a weekly basis brings well over 1,000 euros per year. So now you don't have to be Einstein to figure out if the other customer group brings you 40 times more money, not 30 times more money. Which one is the customer you should be targeting for? So what we actually do in Finland is we try in those 10 bowling centers, we open a monthly entry-level course for free. Anyone who wants to come to try to play bowling, you're welcome. But you can only come once a year in the Dalston. So what we try to do is we try to get, by coaching, try to get people to first try bowling, and once they are learning more about how to play bowling, they will get much more interested. So we'll actually run it over a year and see if what are the results. How many of those customers that come to the entry-level course are still with us after a year, after 2 years. After that pilot, it's not that, I'm pretty sure it's not that difficult to convince the proprietors anymore that, hey, we can make your business to change.
Okay, our last question here. This could last all day. We should have another day just for this.
We've talked a lot about numbers. Let me give you a couple. I'm 70 years old. I've coached 35 years, half my life. YABA is where I started. Some of you remember that. Other numbers, I coached in the center at 80 lanes. We had 2 shifts for just our juniors. Now, I coach in a lane, 48 lanes. I just moved that because the other house I was in got down to 2 teams, just in the morning. We talk about our seedlings, we talk about growth. We can have a forest, but we got to have some seeds first. Oak trees not born and fully grown. If we forget our youth and don't come up with a true plan for our youth today, we have no industry tomorrow, no matter how good we get and how we can coach those who have come to a point that we can make them experts. If we don't get back to our youth, then wingmans will start going into early retirement. Because I don't know about you, I know I feel older and older every day. I can't last forever. I need a replacement. Our youth is and will always be our replacement. So I won't preach. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to express that. We all should be very concerned about our youth goals.
Couldn't agree with the conversation on youth more. We do a lot of lessons and camps and clinics, as Rick knows, in the training center. A lot of our customer base is youth. We run a tournament every month called Halo Youth Point Series, which a lot of you in Team USA has come out of, Greg Young to the world and Michael Coffey to the world. And when I started at Kegel 8 years ago, that was started by one program. We had 2 shifts full. You're now down to only 1 squad in the semifinals. You cannot find a quarter between Orlando, Tampa, Daytona, and if you draw a line straight down to Miami, all the way through that state, where you're going to find more of the most qualified coaches in that little stretch. There's a lot of coaching going on in Florida, and the numbers are still going down. So it's not just one thing. I talked to Mark Baker. Here's a guy that created a business from nothing, and he's very busy. The center that he's in, that he coaches at, that he talks about so much, his league bowling count, the junior bowling count, continues to go down. So yes, coaching is a big part of doing pro shop operation, a big part of this, but there's other elements that we have to look at on the reason why people are not retained, once we get them in, and why they're not coming in. It's not just one thing. And Lucy Sandlin, you got Coach Pat, David O'Sullivan. There's a lot of people coaching in our area, and the numbers continue to go down. So it's not just one thing. And, we think about this a lot of cases, because we have a marketing department that's much like here. We have a lot of people looking at a lot of stuff. It's a lot of different areas, including the relationship with the proprietor, including how we're selling our product. If you go to Bowl Expo, how they're selling the product right now is much different than how they sold the product 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So we all, I think what Fred's saying is we got to come up with an industry plan where everyone's on the same page and define what that is and go out there and sell it and grow it.
I'm not going to go on about this, I just wanted to reference the youth. There's a lot of good programs right now. I mean, I know it's not going to be a quick fix, but I just want to make everybody well aware that this building has a lot of great programs already in place that you can have to increase and promote to youth, adult, senior, doesn't matter. We have the USA Bowling Program. We have Welcome to Bowling. We have Bowling 2.0. We have high school bowling. We have in-school bowling. That's just 5 off the top of my head that are available for anyone to be a part of, to take with them and help grow the sport. I get that there's lots of problems, but I don't want anybody to walk away from this conversation not thinking that there's no solutions, because there are solutions. We just have to take it one step at a time, but there are programs available for the coaches and proprietors and pro shops. You don't just have to be a coach to run these programs. So please just check out the website. Thanks.
Okay, that concludes our panel discussion. Thank you for everyone for your questions and everything. And a round of applause for our panelists. The Hall of Fame is now open for you. They're staying late past their normal hours. They usually close at 5. They're going to stay late for you tonight.